Hi, I'm here today with Amy Spears. She is one of our preeminent music teachers in Warren County, and she is the music director at South Warren Middle School and South Warren High School, the assistant director there. And I wanted to talk with Amy because she's a graduate of our program at Western Kentucky University. She is a fantastic saxophonist and a really intuitive and talented music teacher. And we had some very interesting conversations recently about what it's like to come to college and what it's like to study music in college. What are you feeling when you're a senior in high school, getting ready to study, and lots of things about that. So, Amy, welcome aboard here and in our new series called Who Are We? And in our WKU Clarinet and Saxophone studio. I'm going to ask you just to give me your thoughts. When you were an incoming, you were a senior in high school a few years ago, what was that like? What did you think about before you were about to come to WKU? What were you thinking about as being a music major? Did you feel prepared? Did you feel like I'm ready to go, I'm going to make first chair, or I don't think I want to be there, I don't know, I want to be in music but I'm not so sure if I'm qualified enough? Or give me your who were you when you were a senior in high school getting ready to be a music major?
Well, I was very much in that last camp of I I want to do this, but I'm not sure that I'm ready. I'm not sure that I'm qualified. I'm not sure that I'm competent enough to do this. I was very nervous. I had no really frame of reference for what to expect. I didn't really know anybody who had done music education. I didn't really know anybody going into the program. Even from schools around that I had maybe had talked to. I didn't really know anybody. And so I had no frame of reference for what to expect. And I was very nervous. And I didn't feel prepared. And it wasn't because of my teachers or anybody. It was just, you watch these movies of these people who go to college and you want to be a musician. They've been playing violin since they're 4 years old. And I'm like, that wasn't me. I just liked playing my instrument. And so I was very nervous. I questioned whether I was prepared. I questioned whether I was good enough, in many ways. And so it was a scary thing, but it was something that I knew I wanted to do, and that it was worth the effort to try it. So
Did you ever take private lessons on a regular basis or part-time basis or even any private lessons?
no, I never took private lessons before I came to college, and that was another reason why I felt like I was unprepared. And like I said, didn't have anything to do with my teachers in high school. I mean, I felt like I was part of a really good band program, and I had a really good experience. It's just I didn't have those type of experiences where I took lessons, and I didn't play piano. I didn't come from a musical family. I didn't really have a big background in music. And so that was part of why I didn't feel like I was very prepared
When we
to
get
start.
when we get together for KMEA events, the district auditions, and we get together for KMEA, the big conference up in Louisville each year in February, it's one of the most common things I hear from students is, well, it's not so easy for me to find a private teacher where I live. There are some rural counties around the state that have the school as their central focus for the students, and the band program is really vital and strong, but there's not a lot of access to specialists in certain areas, like a specialist in an instrument to take some private lessons with. And so, do you feel that that could have been a sort of a reason or for the insecurities or the feelings of less confidence to have not had the lessons, or other things?
Right. Yeah. And I figured that people who were going into music were probably those people that had been involved in that sort of thing before I got there. So I felt like I was probably behind in some ways. And even meeting people when I got to college that had already had those experiences, but that wasn't everybody. A lot of people didn't. Actually, probably most people hadn't taken lessons before they came to college and at WKU. And so, yes, I think that did kind of contribute to that. And I wasn't always involved in those things like all district and stuff like that too. So that was part of it. Yeah.
So you said something that I experience every year when I work with new incoming students, is that you said probably many of the students have not had private lessons, and I don't have a statistic for that, but I will say there is a population of students who have never had private lessons, but they've had really strong, inspiring, motivating band programs when they're in high school. And that's what pushed them into wanting to be involved in music. Tell me a little bit about your passion for it. Why did you pick this area to study and to pursue?
That's a good question, and it's one that sometimes I have a hard time articulating, just because I think that music is such a special activity. I was always drawn to it. In school, that was the band class was the class that challenged me more so than any other class. I've always, and I've told my parents for a long time that I would stay in school if I could forever. Like I just love school. I loved even if band wasn't a part of school, I would have loved being at school. I just love to learn about stuff. It doesn't matter what it is. I want to know about it. But band and music was that extra thing that the other classes weren't. And I think a lot of it has to do with, it has that humanity part in it that the other classes don't quite get to. And for me, I really enjoy thinking about things, and music got me to access that emotional side of myself that I had trouble getting to, and trouble articulating, and trouble connecting to. And it's not just that. It's the music part that's special. Playing your instrument with other people it's a feeling that I can't describe. It's like crack. It's like you just can't get enough of it. I love it.
I
Like,
wouldn't know that, and I know you don't know that.
no, I
Either.
know. No, I don't. But it's like that. It's addictive. It's special, and I think that's part of it. But it's also the community. It's also the people. All the people that music has brought into my life. That's really special to me. And I noticed that the more that I endeavored to become a better musician, the more my personal growth happened. I became a better person in my endeavor to become a better musician.
Well,
And
why? What connected there?
just stuff like having to confront your anxiety about performing, having to learn how to have confidence in yourself, how to prepare, how to practice, how to, like, it showed dedication. It promotes perseverance, all these intangible things that music brings about in people. And just that connection, that's something so special to me, and that you just don't get in many places. And that community, and just, I adored my high school band directors, and I wanted to be like them, and they had such an influence on my life, and even just my peers and everybody that I've met through music, people in college, professors in college. Like, I wanted that. I wanted to be a part of that community. I wanted to keep growing as a musician and as a person, and having that connection to that side of myself and with others. That was really important to me.
Tell me more about this idea of practicing, meaning, like, it obviously it's a discipline. You get better at it as you do more of it. You learn how to be more efficient at it. Why do we need to practice as musicians? When a young person comes in from high school and they're talented, and they get into a music program like Western Kentucky University Department of Music, and they start studying, and they're involved in all the courses and the private lessons, the ensembles, one of their tasks is to practice their instrument. It's like doing homework every day. So in your journey through your college degree, of the undergrad degree, the master's degree, tell me about practicing, and as a teacher now, what do you recommend to younger students in terms of practicing?
Yeah. Well, practicing, I think, is extremely, extremely important. And I think it comes back to the idea of how important taking lessons are on your instrument is in college, and why we stress that so much. And the reason, I think, is because the better you can be at your instrument, and the more that you understand about your instrument, the more effective you're going to be as a teacher. Because to me, when I'm teaching band class, it's like teaching a giant private lesson. It's the same concepts that you're learning while practicing for yourself that you also have your students do to improve their music and their playing as well. So the better I can be at my instrument, the stronger musician that I am, hopefully the better teacher I'm going to be, because my students are going to reflect my musicianship in their playing. So even if you're not planning on being a band teacher, for example, that musicianship, that training that you have on your instrument is going to directly transfer to every other aspect of what you do, even in elementary school, even in other aspects, even if you're doing like music recording or studio work or whatever, that your musicianship carries and bleeds over into every part of your career. So I think practicing is important, and just for those personal reasons too that we talked about, it does develop a lot of things in that area too. So, and when I recommend to my kids to practice, you kind of have to teach them how to practice, right? And that's part of our rehearsal is, what I tried to get them to understand, hey, let's go back. We're going to play this slowly. And if you can play it slowly, you can play it quickly, you can play it up the tempo, that kind of thing. And you try to explain to them the process, because it is a process to get better at anything. It's just diligent practice.
It's almost like an apprenticeship type of process where if you're a director in front of middle school students or high school students, or I'm a studio teacher working one-on-one mostly, or in small groups teaching, even if you're not having an instrument in your hands, you're modeling certain behaviors and certain, like you said, certain musicianship skill sets and goals and aspirations that you're wanting them to aspire to, and they don't learn those things by sort of saying, here's the formula and now go home and try this 50 times and now you're going to be a master at it. You
Right.
have to really come at it a lot of times from a lot of angles, a lot of contexts.
Right.
Tell me, you fast forward to where you are now, and you're a very well respected in the state director and a professional, and I am so happy for you and proud of you, and I just am so lucky to know you.
Thank you. I
Um,
appreciate it.
what would you tell young people who were you then, but now you know what you know now? So if you were back then at a senior in high school, a junior or sophomore in high school, thinking about going into music, but you know all these things now, what advice would you give them?
Um, you know, I think really just take it seriously and spend all of your time investing in this now, and get all that you can now. Do practice now, learn everything you can now, because when you get out of school, the time that you had to devote to those type of things is not there as much. You don't have that type of opportunity to play or to take private lessons or these different things. You have that, but it's not readily available to you like you have in college. Take advantage of it now and take it seriously, and build yourself up while you have that opportunity to work on yourself, because that's going to be what's going to translate to your job. Is like I said before, just your musicianship has a direct correlation to how your students are going to perform and to do, and that's going to translate to every part of your job. The other thing is, it's okay to be nervous when you first get there. I was nervous even as a junior playing in recitals. It's normal, like my freshman year, I would not practice in practice rooms. I would go home. I would take my saxophone home every day because I didn't want people to hear me, like that kind of thing. It's normal, and you've got to work on it, and you've got, you're going to get there, and it's progress. It's success comes from incremental improvement every day. Just do something better every day. Just one thing, and just trying to get something better, whether that's in your practicing, in your schoolwork, whatever. And that's how you see exponential growth, and to not give up. I mean, it is a challenging, it is challenging, and but it's definitely worth it. And
So
you
what you're
know
saying by that one point, and you're saying so many excellent things, doing one thing every day means that you maybe haven't. If a person gets very nervous and stressed out before a performance or before a lesson or not before an audition, maybe they don't know kind of what to expect. And you're saying maybe they expect all these things, but all you need to do is concentrate on one thing at a time, and maybe the other things will come later. Um,
yeah.
so let's talk about expectations. So again, you are where you are now. You were where you were then, and
Mhm.
so if you look at yourself now, how did it turn out? Were all those fears justified? Did some of them realize themselves, or some of them less than it is? So were some of them more like, oh my gosh, I was so afraid of this, and guess what? It was 10 times worse, or the opposite. It wasn't as bad as I thought.
Right.
Auditions, working with directors, working with teachers, all of the above. What's your impression of looking backwards? How was it?
Well, in general, I've noticed in my life things are not ever as bad as I'm afraid they're going to be. So, so in that respect, it was better than I ever could have expected. And not saying that I thought it was going to be doom and gloom. But in high school, people are saying, stuff like, "Oh, your teachers aren't going to care about you. They're just going to let you do your own thing." They paint this really bleak picture of college as that you're on your own and you have no help. And so I guess I carried part of that expectation with me into college, and it wasn't that way at all. And as a matter of fact, if you watch at graduations, the kids who are in the music department are the ones who are going up and hugging their teachers. They're the ones that are doing that. You don't see that in any other department. And it goes back to that community that I talked about earlier that drew me into music. There is such a strong music community, and they want you, all the professors, all the students want you to succeed, and they're going to have your back, and they're going to help you and push you to grow and give you the tools and the resources that you need to be successful. And so in that way, that to me was the most comforting thing, was knowing that I have this support system, and that I am it enabled me to try things and to push myself and to grow, and give myself just these experiences that helped me in the long run. Just trying to, pushing me to be involved in everything. And so, no, it was not nearly what I expected it to be. And, the movies don't do it, don't watch Drumline and, all that, it's not going to be like that. It's not going to be, super competitive, and people are going to hate you if they get first chair. I never felt that way. It was just a very good experience. And, I wouldn't trade it for anything. The experience that I had at WKU is, it has made me into the musician and the teacher and the person that I am today, just from all my interactions and the relationships that I've built with people, and what I've learned through my experience has been invaluable to me. So
Well,
no, it was not, it was not all that I was scared of.
I mean, it's interesting the path that I recall with you that you took, where your journey of, yes, I remember you being very scared behind the stage before you were about to play a solo Bach piece, and I almost had to push you out onto the stage.
Yes, very much so.
Well, we were there at one point, but then going forward, you were a grad assistant. You were on at all the ball games. You were moving truckloads of stuff. You were helping kids who were sick. You were, involved in every aspect. You were helping with honors band. You were helping with middle school honors band. You were
Yeah.
helping with all state help sessions. You were teaching lessons. You were doing so many things. You got your bachelor's at Western Kentucky University, your master's degree, and then you went out and became a professional. I mean, you're a very humble person who's done so many things at such a young age. It's really, really fantastic. I wanted to give younger people who are looking at music in college as a possibility a chance to meet someone who's gone through the journey. And I'd like to continue these little interviews, including some high school students and maybe some current college students. So to get all these different perspectives, I think it's really, really helpful. We have a really vital music program in this state. Music, I guess, like you said, community, not program, but community. Every time I go to every year in February up to Louisville for our state convention, our conference, it's really just an unbelievable amount of people, and they all know each other and they all support each other. You can barely get a seat at all the concerts and all the clinics. There are people outside the door with lines trying to get into these clinics. It's
Yeah.
it's interesting to me, because when I see a young person as a sophomore or junior in high school, a senior in high school, looking towards all of that, there, like you said, that sort of feather safety net is there. We're there to help you guys, and you're going to work really hard in college, but you're not going to be kicked off the plank and have to go swim in the deep end. You're going to be challenged and achieve things you never thought you could achieve, with a lot of support on our end. And you're going to end up saying, wow, look back and think, I didn't think I could work that hard. I didn't think I could achieve that. And that's what I want to offer to young people at this, particularly at this time of our point in time, where everybody is feeling a lot of stress and weight on their shoulders from all our pandemic going on around here. So there's a safe zone here in music, and we are very lucky to be in this state of Kentucky, where we have such dedicated music professionals like yourself. And thank you so much. Are there any parting words of advice you have for any young people out there?
You can do it. It's going to be all right. And it's going to be one of the most rewarding things you do. So it's worth it. It's worth all the work.
Excellent. Amy, thank you, and we'll see you soon, okay?
Thank you.